Hello everyone, my name is Sam Hilal. I'm Cloud Solution Architect at Microsoft. You might be in a journey for migrating your VMware workloads to Azure VMware Solution, AVS. But you are wondering about your VM's readiness, how many AVS nodes you'll need for your workloads, and how much that would cost you. Luckily, there's a tool available in Azure that would help you determine that, and it's easy to use. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to plan your migration and perform capacity planning with the Azure Migrate Server Assessment tool. Specifically, how to run server assessment for AVS future workloads. This feature was recently announced generally available in Microsoft Ignite March 2021. Servers Assessment is a tool in Azure Migrate that evaluates on-premises servers and VMs before migrating them to Azure IaaS VMs or Azure VMware Solution. In this demo, I'll be walking you through the steps required to create an assessment for VMware workloads on-prem before migrating them to AVS. So here are the general steps you'll be taking to run the assessment. First, create Azure Migrate project if it doesn't exist. Second, discover on-premises VMs. There are two options to do that. One option is to deploy Azure Migrate Virtual Appliance that comes in OVA format on your VMware cluster. After deploying and configuring the appliance, it will start discovering VMs on VMware clusters and reporting metadata and performance data to Azure Migrate. Second option is use a utility or script to report your server's inventory in CSV file format, then import it into Azure Migrate. That utility possibly could be RV tools, which is commonly used between VMware admins to get inventory information about their VMware workloads. Third step is to create the assessment. Fourth and last step is to review the assessment. That would help you identify the cost amount, number of nodes, VM readiness, etc. Next, let's jump into the demo. As you might notice, I'm on the Azure Migrate page inside the Azure portal. The first thing I need to create is the migration project. Because I'm creating server assessment, that will be under servers. As you see, there's no project. If there's one, this will not be blank. So I can click on create project, specify the subscription, source group, a name for the migrate project, and the preferred geography where the information will be stored. In this case, United States. And then click on create. Now this is done. If I go again and try to refresh this page, you'll see now I have assessment tool available. Notice under quick start, it's suggesting two steps to start the process. First is discover, then assess. I can access discover by clicking on the button here. The assess and the overview are grayed out because the discovery is not done yet. So I click on discover now to start the discover process. Notice that there are two ways to perform the discovery for the machines. First option is discover using appliance. So here we just specify, yes, my machines are virtualized on VMware vSphere hypervisor. And next, you'll need to follow the steps below. The first step is to generate a project key for Azure Migrate. You provide the name for your appliance and then click on Generate Key. Next, you download the Azure Migrate appliance. That could be in a form of OVA file that you download and deploy as a virtual appliance on your VMware cluster. And second option is you download that zip file that you have on a Windows Server machine And that's it. Zip file has a script in it, so you run that script, and that script will make the machine ready to be as an Azure Migrate appliance. Next, you set up that appliance using the key that you have generated in step number 1. And after that, the appliance should be able to report to Azure Migrate and then discover the machines and send the metadata information to Azure Migrate. Now, the second option for discovering machines is import using CSV. And that's probably easy to implement as well. So the first step is you need to download a CSV template, and then you'll get your information that you have imported from a tool like RV Tools or through a script into that template. And once you do that, you can import that CSV file by browsing to the file over here and importing it, and then you click on import. Now you can also download that CSV template. You notice that it has some like sample data here, so you can actually import it as is if you want just to play with the tool and see what it does. So now I'm importing a CSV file that has 14 virtual machines. So this is the one I'm importing right now. As you can see, there are 14 virtual machines. And I'll click on import. That shouldn't take long, typically like 1 minute or less, and that should be done. Now, as you can see, the import is in progress down here. And now the import status is saying is complete. It was able to import 14 records or 14 virtual machines. And then I should be good to go. Now I need to wait like about 10 minutes before I create the assessment. That will give it enough time for the inventory of the Azure Migrate to be ready for the assessment itself. So I can quit this by clicking on the X, and I basically have to wait on this page and keep refreshing it until I see the assess button is available. Notice that on this page now it's saying discovery is in progress. So you'll need to wait until the discovery is done before you refresh the page and make sure the assess button is available so you can start your assessment. Now discover step is done. Notice that you can see here we have 14 discovered servers, and we have message down here saying next step, start assessing your servers by clicking on assess. An assess now is available button. It's not grayed out anymore. But before we start with the assessment, let me show you what the discover process discovered under the discovered items. So under the Azure Migrate appliance, we see nothing, and that's expected because we did not use that method. Instead, we imported from a CSV file, so that should be under import based. So here we have 14 rows corresponding to the 14 VM information that we have imported through that CSV file. What I can do from here as well is to create a group for the servers that I need to be assessing. So here I can specify discover source is from imported machines, and I can give the group a name, so I can call it all VMs. And then I can select all the VMs here or a subset of them. The subset could be just like the application that I want to migrate to AVS, for example. But let me select all of them for the demo purposes. So after select all, I can click on create. Now that group is being created, and I can use this group from the assessment when I start the assessment. I can start the assessment from here by clicking on create assessment, or by going back to servers, and then here I can click on that assess button. Alright, so we are ready now to start configuring our assessment. The first thing we need to change is the assessment type to Azure VMware Solution. Next, we need to change the discovery source from the appliance to imported machines because we have imported them from a CSV file. Next, we can change the assessment properties. If we click on edit here, we can, for example, things like CPU oversubscription from 4:1 to 6:1, and that's basically the ratio of number of virtual cores tied to one physical core in AVS node. We can also change the sizing criterion to performance-based. Can change the comfort factor from 1 to 1.5x. And then we can apply any discounts here, especially like if we're using reserved instances, for example. If you look here at the pricing calculator, you can see for 3 years, you get almost 50% discount. For 1 year, you get almost 30% discount. And this is the amount you pay if you don't get any reserved instances, and you just pay as you go. So in this exercise, let's assume we're using the 1 year reserved instance, so that would be 30% discount. We click on save and move on. Now we need to give the assessment a name. You can call it ABC assessment, and then use existing group that we have created. Notice that this is page 1 of 2, so click next to see the rest of the VMs here. And let's move forward. And here we can review the configuration of the assessment. We can finally click on create assessment. So now we can click on overview here, and that would show us the homepage for the overview for the Azure Migrate. Now we can see we have here the ABC assessment that we have just created. We can also go to assessments here and find it there as well, but this is just a shortcut. So here we can see the monthly cost estimate, the average cost per VM, the amount of VMs ready or not ready for the migration to AVS, the number of assessed virtual machines, and total AVS nodes required here. So 3 is the minimal, so that's kind of the minimal expected amount, could be 3 or more. And now kind of the projected CPU utilization, memory utilization, and also storage utilization. Next page that you can see from here is the Azure readiness. So you can see here the full list of the VMs, which one is ready, which one is not. Here you can notice that the suggested tool for the migration is unknown. That's because we use the CSV file method, not the appliance. If we use the appliance for the discovery, eventually this will probably be like VMware HCX tool for the migration. So that's the tool we use for massive migration from on-prem to Azure. So that's what you see on this page, and then you can also always change the properties that we have modified, and then change that, click on save, and then you come back here and to recalculate for the assessment, and the numbers would change if necessary. And you can also export the assessment into an Excel file. So if I click there and download like an Excel file down here, and that's it. And if you need to delete the assessment, you can click delete assessment if that's necessary. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. Stay tuned for more videos. For other videos and demos related to AVS, please check the playlist link in the video description. Thank you again and happy learning.